Damon Khan here for Seconds Out with Maxi Hughes, back out again September 27th. Maxi, good to see you. How's life treating you?
Well, good, mate, yeah. Happy, really happy now. I've got a fight date, something to look forward to, something to aim for, and digging a bit deeper with training. So, yeah, we're all good.
Yeah, I can see you just got the shiner healing there on the left eye there, getting into the sparring.
Yeah, that's what happens when you spar with super middleweights, isn't it? Somebody that much heavier than you like, but we're all good work, and it's as the saying goes, you go in the shower, you're going to get wet, aren't you?
Exactly that. I've just seen, I was checking through your Instagram earlier. I believe now you're self-managed. That's the situation going forward. Talk me through that, the difference in getting fights and the professional game being self-managed.
So I've thought with how much input I had in my last two fights. Like I'm signed with Lou DiBella. He's my promoter, although he hasn't got a broadcaster, a TV behind him. So he's sort of acting like a manager anyway. But me and my wife had done a lot of the negotiating and back and forwards with the contracts of them last two fights. So no, my contract ran out with my other manager, so I thought I'm going to do this myself. I've been in the game a long time now, and experience with doing the negotiations, and it's not only that. Every time I had a contract, when I was signed with Matchroom, the contracts there, I read them, I read through them, pointed out things that I wasn't happy about, and anything I didn't understand. My wife, in her line of work, she's very clever. She understood it, so she could explain it. So I thought going forward, we might as well do it. We keep the money in house. And Lou's sort of acting like that as well. And not only that, I'd got relationships now with everybody. It was so as soon as I'd gone self-managed, I sent Eddie and Frank Smith a message saying, "Look, guys, just to let you know, I'm self-managed now. So if anything comes my way, get in touch." And when we're at night, last week, one of the days last week, Eddie messaged me. He says, "You're still looking after yourself, aren't you?" And I replied saying, "Yeah, I am. Yeah." And that he's not replied, so I don't know what he was thinking. If obviously I've come into his head about potential fights, so he knows, and we'll see if anything comes of that. But I think just for the time being, I've got this fight, and I don't fully know how you pronounce his name. I think Antonius. But he's my full focus now, so I'm not looking past him. And no opportunities will come until I've boxed and beat him. So that's my full attention is on him for 5 weeks' time.
Is it something you maybe pursue further after you hang up the gloves? Maybe looking to manage other fighters if you have a pleasant experience doing it yourself?
It's an option. It's potentially an option. I haven't committed and said I will do that, because I have these daily battles where one day I love boxing. I mean, most days I love it, but it's like when I'm packed in, I'm out of it. I've done it for a long time. I've had enough. I don't want to get away. Whereas other days I'm like, no, it's part of my life. It's who I am. It's my identity. So, the experience that I've gone and got, why not try and help fighters? And it also keeps me involved in the sport that I love. So yeah, still ongoing. But I have spoke to, a couple of fighters who's retired and who have become trainers and managers. They have said, I think last person I spoke to about Curtis Woodhouse, he brought some lads up to our gym to spar, and he says, I think, because he's now also, he was on manager's course with me. He's a trainer and manager now. So he was saying it's probably good for you to retire and have just some time away from the sport. That's the advice of a few fighters who's gone down that route, is just have some time away to get away from boxing. And I think in that time I'll probably do that. And then that'll make me realise if I want to go down that road or not. But at least now, like Curtis, I've got my managers and trainer license, so it's an option for me if I want it.
Well, the options in front of you right now is your opponent on the 27th of September talking about your opponent in the ring and just the jeopardy that stands in there. Like I imagine, look, you're a consummate professional, not looking to overlook your opponents, but you can't afford any banana slips here. Because if you want those big fights and those big opportunities, you got to come through Antonis.
Yeah, exactly that. And it were only yesterday. Obviously, I've known about him. I had a look at him yesterday. I watched a couple of his fights, and it looks like a fighter who could potentially be really hard to look good against.
Right.
I'm confident in my ability and the level that I've boxed at. That I'm going to do a number on him. I looked at he had his debut in May of 2021. At that time, 2021, yeah. So at that time, I'd been boxing professionally 11 years and I'd become British champion, WBC international champion when he's had his debut. So, the level and experience that I've got on paper, I should white flow him, and I plan on doing that. But, I'm not taking him lightly and expecting to do that. If I'm going to do it, I've got to put the work in and take him seriously, which I will do because he's on a good run. He's currently he's on a 2 winning streak of boxing 2 prospects away from home. So he'll be on a confidence boost and he'll look at me and he'll go, Max is just, he should have beat Cambosos. He's just been an headline in Las Vegas, fighting at the highest stage. So if I can take his scalp, what's that going to do for his career? So obviously he's early in his career. He's probably very hungry. So if I want those big fights in the future, I've got to do a job on him and do it properly and take him very seriously, which I am doing.
Speaking of George, I've not heard a lot of him from him since the defeat to Vasyl Lomachenko. I would have thought that, in the future, that rematch becomes it makes a lot more sense, I guess.
Yeah, I tried it. I called him out on socials a few times. I've tagged him a few times. He don't respond.
Mm.
Spoke to, because Lou DiBella, he looks after us both.
Mm.
Said, is that a fight? And I did see it got quickly shut down though, of George moving up a weight to fight in an all-Australian world title against Liam Paro.
Yeah.
I don't think George deserves it. Whether it'll happen or not, I don't know. Whether the business side will allow him to get that fight and have an all-Australian fight, I don't know. But if he does, I think he'll get knocked out. But yeah, obviously I want that fight. But if that don't come about, in our next couple of fights, and I go on and achieve something and get another belt, I'm pretty sure he will call me out then because I will have something that he would want. And if that is the case, I won't give him rematch. I will be spiteful and I'll say, no, you didn't give the rematch to me straight away. So now just because I've got something you want, you're not getting it. So yeah, it might be one of those chopping my nose off to spite my face, but I'm still bitter and twisted about it, as you can probably tell.
Just going back to, you mentioned there you had a little quick text message off of Eddie. That Shakur versus Joe Cordina fight got made pretty quickly and announced just the other day. Do you reckon it was anything along those sort of lines?
It could have been, yeah. Obviously, I saw that Joe had said that he's 100% moving up to lightweight. So maybe they was checking if I was available, and maybe they were looking at that as an option before this Shakur Stevenson was confirmed. But again, I think it'd be a real shame to have to fight Joe because I really like him. He was one of the first people to reach out to me after the Zepeda loss. He sent me a couple of voice notes and we spoke, and he was very supportive. Very supportive. So, I've got a lot of time for Joe. He's a nice kid.
On that undercard as well too, Reese Mold is taking on Ryan Walsh. Obviously, you've fought him before. A couple of tips there you're passing on to Reese, so make sure he gets the victory against Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Helping Reese spar and giving him the advice and what I found Ryan did well and stuff like that. So yeah, it's I spoke because I get on really well with Liam Walsh. We often speak on phone, and it was at their press conference. Liam phoned me and says, "Hey, are you coming up for a press conference?" Unfortunately, I was away, but we were just laughing about it, saying this is going to be the third time. We're going to be in opposite corners. Obviously, I've fought both the twins, and now I'll be helping prepare Reece for Ryan again. Well, there's a lot of respect. I've got a lot of time for Walsh brothers. I know Ryan was saying in that press conference he wants to have another go with me. But yeah, when me and Liam just have a laugh and a joke about it, like.
The other big fight coming up as well also is Josh Warrington stepping up to take on Anthony Cacace, who beat Joe Cordina as well himself. Look, I've seen a lot of discussion surrounding the fight too, and I've seen some conversation within people within the media as well too, kind of favouring Cacace for the win here. Just from your experience, obviously working with Josh and being in those camps with him, why would Josh Warrington be the winner against Cacace? What's the case for Josh Warrington?
He's as fired up as he is for every fight, and he's moving up a weight. We know, and Anto's not shy of saying that he struggles with the weight. Whereas Josh is moving up. Josh still did featherweight good. So for Josh to move up a weight, naturally that the weight is going to suit Josh. And yeah, obviously I'm always going to back Josh. I see him every day, see how hard he trains, how determined he is, how hungry he still is. So, and in his, although he lost to Lee Wood, look at the performance. People were writing Josh off against Lee, saying Josh is finished, he's not what he was. But look at look past the decision, look at the performance. His performance were outstanding. So I think people again have been a bit blinded by just the decision. And we know as a team we've sat down and discussed why that happened. And again, he's put it behind him and he's looking to move forward, and a new challenge is in front of him. So, I'm probably the wrong person to ask because I'm always going to have Josh's back. But yeah, I believe in him.
What did you think to the fight between Cacace and Cordina?
I thought a very good fight. Again, Joe's made no bones about it that he really struggled at the weight. But fair play to Anto. He came. It was his opportunity for a world title, and he delivered, didn't he? So you can't take that away from him.
Actually, you hit your thoughts on a couple of things as well too. Big fight coming up in the heavyweight division, September 21st. AJ versus Dubois. Who are you favouring in that one?
Again, I've gone with the unpopular decision of backing Dubois. I've obviously seen a lot of the other heavyweights doing the interviews saying the sparring stories, especially lads who sparred them both, and they say how hard Dubois is. He's gaining experience. He's coming off a very good win against Filip Hrgović, so he'll be confident. Obviously, Joshua will be confident and coming off his win. But I just feel like when Joshua does get it, he can sometimes fall to pieces. And I know people say, well, Dubois quit, but his eye were badly damaged against Joyce, but he's since had the fight. I forget the fella's name who he fought, who Dubois were down 3 times in round one. Where at round one?
Lorena.
Yeah. So he were down 3 times in round one, and he got back up and he got the job done. So I feel like he put a lot of demons to bed there, having been put down 3 times and getting back up and then finishing the job. I think it went next round, wasn't it? So that's going to give him confidence. And am I right in saying Dubois has now been upgraded to the champion
Correct.
as well?
Yeah.
So that might add a little 10% in, a couple of percent to his confidence as well. So I'm backing Dubois by stoppage.
Just to delve a bit further into this, and although your circumstances were different, there are some crossovers you can make with part of your career and Dubois' career, in the sense that you'd have been counted out to a degree, both of you, but you've both come back from that, the public kind of counting you out. But how key to your successes recently was the confidence and momentum and getting the string of wins under your belt when it came to the bigger tests and those tests where you maybe weren't the favorite, like Dubois has when he'd been counted out and now he's kind of
Yeah.
rebuilt back up against Miller and Hergovich. You the same sort of thing when you had the string of wins too. How key for a fighter is it that building that confidence and that winning momentum?
Yeah, there's obviously with me, the most important thing for me was having, the things surrounding not just your boxing, like having a stable home life. I know I've seen the documentary on him. He's seen he's very close with his dad and his sister and the rest of his siblings. So that's good that he's got a solid base there at home, a good team around him, and obviously he's signed with Frank Warren. Frank Warren believes in him, and his coaching team. As long as they're around you and they're keeping your mind is the most important thing, because he's got the ability and certainly got the punching power. So he's gone out there and he's got those wins, and a lot of people, about the controversial decision against Usyk. But that's their experience that he's gone out and gained, and he's come back from them, with some good wins. So I think that's what's important, and making sure that your family and your team help you. Ignore all the noise around you, because there's always going to be negative noise, no matter what you're doing. So ignore that negative energy outside of you. Just keep your circle small, concentrate and focus, and go out and do what you want to do. If it's really what you want to do and you got the passion and determination for it, then that's what's going to get you results. That's what happened for me anyway.
Bringing this back to yourself as well too, how far away do you feel you are from getting another big opportunity, whether it be for a world title, whether it be for big money, whether it be for a big night? How far away do you think you are from that?
I'm not sure. I don't know if I was saying earlier, speaking to my wife, I've got the energy and the determination to have another run at it, despite the way I lost in Vegas. So hopefully after getting a win on September 27th, I might be handed an opportunity. If not, then I'll work out with my team a route that we can go to get into a mandatory position or a good position where I've got something that somebody wants, so that I can force an opportunity. So right now I've got that. I really hope, and I'm crossing my fingers, that I can get an opportunity this year, back end of the year as we're approaching. So my focus is obviously on my opponent that I've got upcoming in 5 weeks' time. Get the job done there, and stay in the gym, keep training, and start, if I've got to start, get the job done first, and then if I need to start calling people out or just directly speaking to the manager, saying, because I'm not bothered about like arsing about and this. I'd rather just go direct to someone and say, look, I'm happy to fight. Can we fight? Can we just get it on? I think why can't things be that simple? That's the sort of thing I don't like nonsense. So if I can get something that easy, now I've got my manager's license. So if I just need to speak to the people's managers, teams direct, then I'll try and do it. I remember it happened. It was before I'd got the Zepeda fight all confirmed. I know Shakur was having a bit of a whinge, saying he's struggling to get fights, this and that. So as my wife does, she just gives me a little nudge saying, message Shakur. And I'm like, this guy's got millions of followers. He's not. He says, yeah, but he knows who you are, because he was sat ringside for your fight against George, and he was blatantly telling George, you've just lost to Maxi. So I thought, well, fair enough. What have I got to lose? Message him saying, look, Shakur, I know you're looking for a fight. I'm not into Twitter beefs and social media beefs. I'm willing to fight. So if you're struggling for an opponent, just let me know. Me and my team, we'll take that fight. And he replied straight away. Couldn't believe it. And he said, look, we appreciate you reaching out. It was at the time we were trying to get the Navarrete fight. So he says, if I can't get no Maxi, we'll be in touch. And by the time, I forget which fight he got. I think the Dos Santos one, and I'd been confirmed then with the Zepeda fight, and I was ordered that. So, we went our separate ways. So since that, I think I've got to rebuild myself now, and hopefully again I'll be in that position to send those messages out and say, look, let's just get it on.
Been a couple of years since you've fought in the UK, hasn't it?
Yeah, so the last time I fought in the UK was, I think, 26th of September 2022. So near enough to the date I'll be boxing back in UK. And that was in Nottingham against Kid Galahad. So actually boxing at home in Yorkshire was, again, 2 years ago when I boxed Ryan Walsh. So that was the last time I boxed at home in Yorkshire. So yeah, it's 2 years. So it's going to be good for people coming to see. They ain't got far to travel. They ain't going to get the passports and spend a fortune. So it's good. Be good to be back at home.
Slipped my mind. I've been enjoying the conversation too much, but I don't know if I can't remember if I asked you your prediction on Cordina versus Stevenson. Who are you backing?
It's interesting because I think Joe would be down as the bigger hitter. So if Joe can land that big right hand, who knows? Shakur's chin has not properly been tested. That's testament to his skills, his footwork skills, not letting anybody tee him up with a big shot. So obviously with Joe's good pedigree, it's going to be interesting to see if he can close the distance down and land a big shot. And if he can land a big shot, it's going to be interesting to see if Shakur can take a big shot. So very interesting matchup.
There was a couple of years back where Josh was trying to get that fight with Shakur, and then Shakur moved up, didn't he?
Yeah, that'll back down at the featherweight days. Yeah, now he's up at my weight. So yeah, it's crazy how it works out.
Indeed, Maxi, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for speaking to Seconds Out. Looking forward to you being back in action September 27th. Thanks again for speaking to me.